Hi everybody, it's Debbie and I am going to be doing something a little bit different today. I'm gonna do a little bit of a flip of my regular art journal. This is not the Fauxbonnici, it's not daily journaling. As a matter of fact, it's not really even writing journaling much at all. It's all art. This is basically how I started out. Somehow on Pinterest I came across some art journaling. The first website I saw, or the first Pinterest page I saw, and then I started digging through, was Daisy Yellow, and I will put a link to that below. That's really what started me on this whole path to art journaling, all the different kinds of art journaling, and then led me into the Fauxbonnici, which I really love. Unfortunately, it takes so much of my time that I have not gotten to do much of my art journaling. So I'm going to try and do a little bit more of that, and hopefully this will help me get back into that. So this journal was just one of those plain, you can find them at Walmart, Michael's, wherever I had covered it up. It's just like a little cardboard cover. I forgot, it's not a sketch pad, it's a mixed media watercolor book. Anyway, this on the cover, a friend of mine just recently saw it and just raved about how great it was, and how did I get the ideas for that, and my inspiration. And all it is this, it's this manila whatever paper that I used underneath my art, and I would wipe off my brush on it, my ink pad, stamps, you can see little pen scribbles. That's all it was. And I just, when it got completely filled, I cut out a piece and put it on the top here. I have not covered it so you can still feel all the texture, which I love. At some point I might, I don't know, Mod Podge or matte medium or something over it, and then I just kind of wash it around the edges, which is coming loose. But anyway, so here's my art journal. The first page I actually left blank for a long time because I wasn't sure what I wanted to put there, and I read a little tip one time that said, don't do your first page if it's kind of overwhelming, skip that and go to the next page. So that's what I did, but I'm going to show you this because that's what comes first. The stuff after this is a lot more raw looking than this. I found this piece in a magazine. I loved this lady sitting on the bench with the balloons and the tree, so I cut all of that out. I cut around all of this moss, which was quite the job. And then I had already put down a piece of whatever you call it, paper, song paper, whatever you call that. I don't know why I always have trouble finding my words when I'm doing these videos. But anyway, I put that down first. I painted over it with some watercolor. I did some stamping. I'm not sure if you can see all the details in the video. And then this is where the page ended of the image. And so I just kind of stamped it up and roughed it up and tried to make it look like it's the rest of the tree. I don't know that that really went over that well, but anyway, that's what I did. And then, and I put in some little, these are some rub-ons, and I put some little words here along the tree. I like that. I'm sure I read that or saw that somewhere, and then I did the edge with oil pastel and just kind of smudged it. And then the last thing I had to do was put the words on there. That's always a difficult part for me. So what I did was I went out to Google and I just said quotes for balloons, I think is what I said. And it took me a while to find one, but then I really found this, sometimes you just have to let things go. And that just really spoke to me. So I cut those words out. Actually, that's not true. I stamped these words with some little alpha stamps I have, cut them out, and then did oil pastel around it. So anyway, that turned in to be my first page, and I really like the way that turned out. Here are just some of my very first art journal experiment pages is what I call them. These have several layers of stuff on it. I would clean off my brushes on it, but then I couldn't make it be anything. Then I tried to put a stencil over it, and it still didn't look right. And then I did a little bit of stamping. I had just a little round tube, and I would just stamp it. And that's what I wound up doing here too. I think I even glued a page of something over top of what was back there because I didn't like it. I think these are Q-tips dipped in pink acrylic paint. And then I just kind of splotched some stuff around. I never really could figure out what to do. It needs an image, I guess, and some words or something. It's really not complete, but it was just fun and play and, you know, experimenting, I guess is what it was. And then the same for this, as far as it was more of a structured beginning. I did have some underneath here. You can maybe see some brush paint that I had put on, some scrappy paint. And then I thought, well, this one turned into more of a daylight and this one turned to more dark, so I thought I'd do a dark versus light in this, like the same park or whatever this is supposed to be. So I really like the way this turned out. I like the way this owl and the moon turned out. You can actually, I painted it yellow, but you can see through it. It picked up some of the color underneath, but that just kind of made a little spooky moon. So this is my spooky side and this is my, you know, daylight side. And then I just got stalled. I don't know what to do with it after that. I need some kind of words, I guess. I'm not really sure. I don't consider it finished, but it's finished enough for now. And then here, I really love doing collaging. I think I like that more than just about anything else, except maybe my daily journaling. I cut all of these things individually out of magazines. Even this little deer, I cut it out of like a hunting magazine or something. I cut it, just the head, and put it behind this little bush here. And this vine I cut out, these little flowers were separate and I glued those on. And then I just said summer, enjoy today. So that's just really what these pages need, just some little something that makes it, finishes it, I guess is what you should say. So basically you'll see I've stamped the dates here. Most of this was done last June and July. This is when my daughter-in-law and grandkids and my son had come to move in, and I have an 8-foot dining room table and it was completely covered in art stuff, and that's all we did was do art things. And she did some other stuff with the kids there too. And then the 5 of us ate around my little tiny cafe table that's supposed to hold 2, and all 5 of us would eat there because my dining room table was completely covered with art supplies. This here, my grandson drew these little flowers for me and the little stalks on a card, and I asked him if I could cut those out and use it in my art journal, and he said of course. So then I did some hearts to go with it and just entitled that Hearts and Flowers. And did some washi here. This is just some watercolor on another piece of paper that whatever, it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, so I just cut some bits of it out and put it on here. And I like the way that it looks all together. And the background again was just some smudgy paint off my paintbrush. Here's where I did some experimenting with alcohol inks with the drops. And you're not supposed to use it on porous paper, so I had gessoed the background and thought that might help, but it doesn't run like it's supposed to. It smudges a little bit, but you actually need glossy paper in order to drop those, so I learned that lesson. And haven't really decided if I'm going to do anything with that or not. Then this is another collage page I made. I saw this on Pinterest, I believe, where you take your scrapbook paper and just tear it into strips. And so I just tore some paper, you glued it down, then I cut this out of a magazine and just did this overcoming obstacles and finding success. It has nothing to do with the page, but for some reason having the words on there seems to finish it off. And then here's another page that I did several layers on until I finally got the look that I like, but still never put an image on it or any words. But these were lace doilies that I put on the page and just sprayed ink through it. And then some more of this stamping with this little cardboard tube I have. And this, I think I'll make this the end right here. This is very textured. I did some gesso, I think, through some stencils, and I like the way it looks. I was going to do something like under the water. I haven't really figured that out yet, so it just kind of stayed that way. And this one I really, really like. I'm not even sure how this came about. I had seen on Pinterest or YouTube or somewhere making people out of inanimate objects, or like mixing body parts together. So I had this perfume bottle cut out that I really liked, and I found this woman's face, and I used I think this was a mop or a broom or something, and I used that as like a little hat, and that's a little disco ball. And I cut her arms out, 2 different arms from 2 different ladies, and just glued it on there. And I thought, well, that just kind of looks dreamlike. So then the rest of the page just kind of developed from there. These are some rub-ons. This little magnifying glass I cut out and put an eye behind it, and then just drew little white rays coming off of it. And same, I did a lot of white highlighting around the stencil, and just anywhere I saw little splotchy things, I just kind of drew little circles around it just to kind of make it look, I don't know, make it look kind of dreamlike, I guess. And anyway, I'm going to stop there. Hopefully you enjoyed this little look in my art journal. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and thank you so much for watching.